You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Well, good evening once again, fellow harmful extremists and militia violent extremists. It's time for another episode of This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. He's Ben, I'm Hobbs, you're in Clown World, and I hope that our names are touching on the watch list. How is everybody?
Just a whole road celebrity block on the list, probably.
That's right. They have a
At this
special
point.
section for people who watch this show.
Yeah,
I'm sure of it.
they got a road celebrity block, and what was that other site that's still on Facebook? Boogaloo Bogaloo or Bogaloo?
Whatever it is, it's a fed honey trap.
Yeah, like Daniel Defense.
Ah, zing. Yes, indeed. So, you guys might have noticed that I've got a little more Hobbs in high def. Finally figured out the camera situation on my phone. So, got the ring light going using the phone camera rather than the laptop camera, which is sad how old my laptop is that my cell phone camera is this much nicer. But
We're both in high def.
yeah, it's good. We're moving on up.
That'll lose us some listeners.
Listeners or viewers?
Viewers, yeah. Fuck,
Yeah.
these guys look terrible in high def. I'm out of here.
All right.
The moment you see the MVE bulletin at work, where yeah,
I actually think I might have been doing exactly that when I read the article. I might have been wearing my shirt and look like, ooh.
yeah, the Boog Girl. I don't know why that doesn't sell more. I've never seen anything like it. Still a great shirt. Roads and number2liberty.com if you don't know what the Boog Girl shirt is.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I like it.
Still topical. Not everybody will get it, like Rain Rhodesian breaststroke around.
Afrikaners did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
What new has come up? Apparently, it's kosher now to say that monkeypox, while not expressly, God, I can't talk tonight. While not expressly a sexually transmitted disease, it basically is one at this point because it's something like 98% of the people who have come down with it are in the men who have sex with men.
Well, now I saw where there was another gay festival and they practiced restraint. They weren't actually engaging in butt sex, but there was a monkeypox infested guy out on the dance floor rubbing on everybody with his shirt off, and apparently he gave it to a bunch of people.
Well, that's I don't know. At this point, I think that there might be I know that there has been a subculture for a long time called bug chasers. Have you ever heard of these people?
Oh, back during the HIV days, yeah.
Yeah, and
Tattooing biohazard on their neck and stuff.
Yeah, these bug chasers, and then there's also the pausers or whatever, the people that have the disease and are trying to pass it on.
Just like spreading it around. Well, there's got to be some sickos around there, just like spreading diseases around.
Yeah, which is bizarre.
Probably with COVID and everything else too, licking door handles. Yeah, the monkeypox was in the news. I mean, Trump has just been dominant for the news cycle for the whole week, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that was planned. I mean, these idiots had to have an idea that if they did this, it was going to be Trump all over the place. So
yeah, in a way, you have to wonder if that was the plan all along.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they're going to do the Hillary Clinton tactic and think he's the easiest GOP to beat in the upcoming election. So they're pushing him to the front again.
Yeah, the Pied Piper candidate. They were doing some of that shit in down ticket races in other states, like state senators and gubernatorial races here. The last couple of weeks ago, there were Democrat PACs that were funneling money to Trump-backed Republican candidates in the so-called Pied Piper strategy, thinking that all these Republican candidates are too far right for the normal people to vote for, and then they get out there, people like Carrie Lake in Arizona, who just BTFO'd the competition. You got a
Facebook
few other.
stopped our broadcast again. I don't fucking get this. We are going to do a broadcast. Sorry to get off the train here. We're going to do a broadcast some night. Just me and you sitting here drinking beers, not doing anything, and see.
In total silence.
Yeah. And just see if Facebook nukes us.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Russian doomer music is not a copyrighted thing. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyways, Trump in the cycle. I think also they don't understand how much the average American distrusts the government at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and it just looks like Trump is getting bullied.
Yeah, and I don't think that a lot of them realize how much the average American is hurting right now, and puts the blame squarely on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's I saw a meme today that was pretty accurate. It was a cowboy talking to Liz Cheney, and he's like, "Hey, could you stop the Biden administration from canceling Wyoming oil field jobs?" And she says, "I'm going to investigate Trump." And he's like, and then he said something like, "Can you stop? Can you stop something? Some conservative talking
Right.
point." She's like, "I'm going to investigate Trump," and he's like, "We are literally the most conservative state in the country." Talk about Wyoming. We are literally the most conservative state in the country. Can you at least pretend to have our interests in heart? And she's like, "I'm going to investigate Trump." He's like, "Well, fine. I'm not going to vote for you." She says, "You traitors are really obsessed with Trump, aren't you?"
Well, and in her defense, her voting record is fairly conservative, but she just is so hung up on this Trump thing. She's like not even doing anything else.
Right.
And one of the first things she said when she lost was she was going to look at running for president, or her goal was to keep Trump from becoming president again. It's like,
Right.
damn, girl, get over it. Just move on with your life.
Right. And she, like, with completely zero self-awareness, and realizing that her one singular mission, their single-minded focus of stopping Trump at all costs, is the reason that she's not a representative in Congress anymore. You know, she didn't even have to come out in support of the guy. She could have just taken a neutral stance, and she probably would have got reelected. But she's so zeroed in on this man cannot be allowed to have power anymore. It's because I guess Trump insulted her dad and insulted his fucking blowjob buddy, John McCain. So whatever.
Well, and I thought it was great. I forget what news outlet this guy was with, but he commented on Liz Cheney loss that being principled is perfect up to a point, because it doesn't matter if you lose how principled you are. And it was a quote by your dad, Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
It's like she can be all the principled she wants against Trump, but you're out of office now. Where'd that get you? She can't do any. I mean, she could have been a little more quiet and worked against him in other ways.
She wanted to be the face of what the Beltway crowd considers to be the tempered, moderate right, and what normal Americans just see.
Which might have been fine if she was from, like, I don't know, maybe Ohio, or what's another purple, Pennsylvania. It might have flown okay. I insulted her dad too. She's going to keep me from being on the. Yeah, I have no love for Dick Cheney. That man's a monster.
Yeah, blood
so
gargling psychopath.
I can just imagine what his daughter is actually like for a personality, and she's probably shuttled people to Epstein Island for all we know. But yes, she says she wants to keep Trump from being president. Is she going to run for president? I mean, what, on the Dem ticket? Democrats wouldn't want that.
No, she's going to try and primary Trump, and that's going to go over like a lead balloon.
Yeah, I mean, all she's going to do is fuck up. I mean, if anybody wants to take on Trump in a primary, he's got such a motivated base. It's going to have to be a 1v1 situation.
Yeah.
And, there's probably going to be 6 yahoos in there splitting the vote a bunch of ways, and Trump's going to win it again.
Well, yeah, and it'll be a bunch of nobodies. It'll be like David French. Like, he tried to do that shit last time.
The one person who might have a chance, DeSantis, and you'll get a bunch of other people in there that peel some of his votes away, and Trump's in there again. It's
And
looking
that's
more
even
and more to me. Yeah.
I was going to say that's even assuming that DeSantis wants to challenge him right now, because, like I said, Robert Barnes was saying that DeSantis is slated for the VP ticket.
Yeah,
So it'll be 4 more years of Trump.
Clinched at that point. If it's a Trump DeSantis ticket, blowout. Nobody. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be close in the presidential race, but as far as GOP primary, blowout, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, if Liz Cheney thought that the 11-point shellacking that she got in this last election was disappointing, then running in a Republican primary for president against a Trump DeSantis ticket and her only platform to stand on is "I'm not Trump."
Mm-hmm.
You might see the very first 100-0% blowout in electoral. I mean, statistically, it should be impossible. There ought to be one person that votes for Liz Cheney, but it's like, "I'm not Trump." It's like, okay, yeah, that's not going to work in a Republican primary.
And he's playing this whole raid perfectly. He's like, "Go ahead, release the affidavit," and then, I don't know if the FBI was caught off guard or they're just that incompetent. They're like, "Oh, well, we need to redact stuff."
Yeah, allegedly to protect their confidential informants and whatnot. But Judge Napolitano was actually on Alex Jones yesterday, and he was saying that if they get the chance to redact things, you're either going to get like entire pages that are blacked out, and it'll be functionally worthless for normal people like you and me, or you're going to get selective redactions that are going to it's going to make it look like, oh, he actually had prototype schematics for a hydrogen bomb hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, and it's like, no, that's not.
I still think you're onto something, that he was using it to smoke out the moles in his organization, especially with the empty safe. That's just a ringer right there.
Yeah, I told people at work that the safe should have had just a picture of him being like,
yeah, Nicolas Cage in there.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I mean, that's all it's been in the news cycle this last week. Pretty much is just the whole Trump affidavit thing. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. So Bongino on his Sunday show last week, I think, he was a guy that was a former FBI agent, and now he's a defense attorney that laid out some of the red flags that got thrown up to him watching this, because he's seen it from both sides. And he says that Luke says the safe should have had the Bill Clinton in a dress painting in it. That would have been something. But or it should have just had like a copy of Hunter Biden's hard drive.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That would have been something too. But no, Bongino, his guest, was saying that that during a search warrant like that, having the accused party's lawyers on hand is the FBI agent's best friend. He says, as an FBI agent, when I would do a search warrant like this, if the accused's lawyer was present, I would want them there, because then they would be able to walk me into the area to get what it was that we were looking for.
Right.
The fact that the FBI agents not only sequestered the lawyer away from it, but wouldn't even let the lawyer within 10 feet of the search warrant until after they had conducted their search. To him, he said it threw up red flags, because rather than having a very specific set of alleged evidence that they were going for, they were going in basically under a general warrant to confiscate literally any piece of paper that they could find. And his theory is that at the end of the presidency, Trump, in his capacity as executive, declassified several documents that were proof of the CIA and the FBI and the other intelligence agencies conducting themselves in the pre-election spying on his
Mhm.
campaign, and then the post-election spying on his White House that generated all of that Russian collusion nonsense. And his theory is that the FBI suspected that he had these exonerating documents that not only did the FBI and the CIA spy on Donald Trump, but they knew that what was being spied on him for was a complete fabrication, and they did it anyways. So he said that under the general warrant, it's likely that they went in there trying to find these documents, and now that they haven't, they're leaking to their media sources that there might have been nuclear secrets, or there might have been like lists of CIA spy assets, or any of the other bullshit that they've come up with just to try and throw people off the scent.
Well, and apparently the FBI has become so partisan. I don't know how you would even fix that. I mean, it's almost like you have to have a regime change when you get a different party in there as president. So it's like GOP president gets in there, clean the slate of the whole FBI, I guess, and go on a hiring spree. Or, hey, let's just abolish the FBI. How about that?
Well, the FBI was never meant to be a permanent
Right.
fixture anyways. It just kind of hung around. Same thing with the CIA, same thing with the DIA. All of these federal law enforcement and intelligence things were meant to be like temporary wartime measures to either like fight World War I, World War II, or fight the mafia during the Prohibition days. And after those troubles went away, the agencies were supposed to go away too, but they just stuck around.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what that mechanism would be then if my camera seems to be acting up to abolish the FBI, if that could just be an executive order or what?
Well, they're an executive agency. They're a law enforcement agency. I don't know if it would be an executive order or if they have a congressional charter or any of the other things, but I imagine it might be as simple as just okay, you guys are disbanded and your responsibilities are going to be rolled into state level law enforcement.
Right.
And we're getting to the point right now where I think that a lot of conservative judges are becoming a lot more suspicious of the FBI and may end up asking state and local law enforcement to refuse cooperation with the FBI. And this goes back to my theory from a long time ago that the end goal of what we're seeing going on at the federal level is not to attack, like the pissed off soccer moms at the PTA meeting. It's not to President Joe Biden was not the goal. He was just a happy side effect of the larger strategy, which is to erode faith and confidence in our institutions here in the country.
Right.
And they're doing a good job of it because conservatives have always been very like law enforcement, back the blue and everything. And now you got like hard right conservatives, Marjorie Taylor Greene type people that are like, yeah, just abolish the FBI. Fuck these guys.
Yeah, and then they talk about her and Lauren Boebert like they're complete morons, which maybe they are a little bit stupid, but they act like they say that and it's impossible. It's not impossible to do that. They act like those organizations have to exist forever.
Yeah, same thing with the Department of Education. When guys like Amash or Thomas Massey or Rand Paul come out and say we got to abolish the Department of Education, and they lose their goddamn minds. Like, what do we do without a Department of Education? And I'm like, what did we do prior to 1976?
We had a lot better performing schools. Have you seen that graph?
Yeah. School spending like goes up in a straight line.
Formation of the DOE, school spending.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, what did we do prior to 1976? Oh, we only expanded from the East Coast to the West Coast, became the most powerful country on the planet, invented the airplane went to the moon. Yeah. What did we do prior to 1976? A fucking lot is what we did. And what have we done since 1976? A few people have done a lot, but the vast majority of people have kind of stagnated. And I think that there's a causal relationship here.
Who would indoctrinate our kids without the Department of Education? Yeah, that was a big brain 4D chess move by progressives when they took over the education system. And I don't know why the conservatives of the 80s and 90s didn't see that going on. If they were just oblivious or they didn't care or they were all for it. But yeah, I mean, take over the grade schools and take over the colleges, and then bam, you've got your whole indoctrination camp down.
Yep. And I know Ronald Reagan campaigned on abolishing the Department of Education because the conservatives at the time, they saw it for what it was, and he campaigned on abolishing the Department of Education. And then somebody must have whispered in his ear or something. They're like, no, it's the Department of Education is failing because we're just not giving them enough money. And we didn't have a frame of reference up until that point. So he's just like, okay, let's try giving them more money. And then it just kind of hung around.
Do you know many Gen Z kids? Do you talk to many people from Gen Z?
No.
They're my fave. They realize that the education system is fucked. I've heard so many, I call them Zoomers. I've heard so many Zoomers just say, you know what? Fuck going to college. It's a waste of money. They don't teach you anything. And I got to say, millennials are probably going to give the boomers a run for the money as the worst generation. I mean, boomers are way up here, but I mean, millennials have a lot of time to get there. Yeah. I mean, this next generation, it gives me hope seeing how they see all the bullshit that's going on.
Yeah, it's black and white though, because there are some Zoomers that are just the worst, and then there are some that are just like, return to monkey.
Yeah. I mean, they go way out there. There's no, you're right.
Yeah.
It is black and white. There's no middle ground Zoomer.
Yeah.
I'm part of Gen X. I mean, we're all about middle ground. It seems we're the most middle, and everybody forgets about us anyway, so we don't even care. Luke White. I love my Zoomer friends. Yeah, Zoomers are great. Millennials, they're running with the whole Karen thing that the Boomers brought on. Pretty much anytime you hear about a Karen, it's a millennial anymore. Doomer Zoomers are the best. Yep, Doomer Zoomers.
Yep,
they're the future.
Yeah, they're the 16-year-old kid who looks like he's 35, smoking cigarettes on the street corner.
Right,
it's like just done with life.
A lot of them do smoke. I mean, smoking made a comeback with the Zoomers. I don't know if they started on Juuls, and when we banned them, they just went, "Fuck it, I'll just do cigarettes."
Right. So they do have a certain like nihilistic, almost like a post-Soviet nihilism that you used to see in pictures of the post-Soviet Eastern Bloc, of just like the haggard, run-down late teenager that's just like just already done.
Here's the great thing. Those guys don't consume any mainstream media hardly.
Yeah.
So they get a lot of their information from TikTok. So I'm sure progressives are working on getting their needles into that and turning that into a indoctrination ground. But yeah, they seem like they like to figure stuff out for themselves, where millennials were just, I don't know. I just cannot stand hardcore millennials at all. Sorry to all the millennials in here.
I'm a late millennial, so I'm like the first wave of them. I was born in 84, so it's like right there on the tail end.
Those ones right in the middle of it, though, they're just the worst. All their pronouns and that shit they did. And here's the thing. Millennials are going to be, a lot of them didn't have kids. I don't know what these people think is going to, and a lot of them are not into fat shaming. So they're not into fitness. That's saying I know with a lot of Zoomers, a lot of them are into weightlifting and fitness. I don't know what these millennials think they're going to do when they get old. They don't have any kids. They're fat and out of shape. There's going to be tons of nursing homes around there just full of fat, unwanted millennials that somebody's getting paid minimum wage to roll back and forth and wipe their ass once in a while. I don't think they have any idea how miserable their life is going to be when they get older.
Oh yeah. Or
I mean,
maybe
that's not,
they do. They just want to
yeah.
die.
I mean, that's one of the things that I've noticed. I mean, even as my parents get older, you probably help your mom out with stuff. Having kids around to just be able to have somebody that gives a shit about you when you're an old person is invaluable.
Yeah, well, it's going to kind of work the opposite way. We're actually going to be moving my mom in with us, and she's going to be helping us out with the kids. But
Hey,
having grandma around with the grandkids, I think, is going to be good for everybody.
my mom's lived in my basement for 12 years now, so kids are grown up, so she just still down there, but who knows. But yeah, I mean, just having, it's invaluable to have somebody that gives a shit about you and will help you out when you're old. And all these millennials that have not had kids and not watched their health, I think it's going to end up being a crisis. Futurama suicide booths. Yeah, we're going to have to deal with all of them. Nobody's going to want, it's going to become a burden on the government or whoever for all these fat, unwanted, childless millennials.
Maybe that's why they push for universal health care so much.
Because
somebody's got to take care of me.
Maybe they do see the writing on the wall, or they're so short-sighted they probably haven't even thought of that yet. But that got us way off target. Sorry about that.
Oh no, I didn't really have much of a topic because, like you said, the Trump Mar-a-Lago raid just really dominated the news, and it's just the only thing to really talk about right now.
Yeah, and Alex Jones kind of, after his verdict, he kind of got kicked out of the news cycle, I guess.
Yeah. He said something about it on his show yesterday or the day before about how I guess it's part of Texas's anti-slap laws or something about how, even though the verdict came back for $50 million or 49.5 or whatever the number was, it's like it caps out at 5 million.
Oh, okay.
And I think that what the prosecutor is going to do is going to try and rope a bunch of other families in, so that rather than paying out a $50 million to a single family, it's just going to keep stacking 5 million, 5 million, 5 million, 5 million until he gets up to that 50 million mark. And I don't know. I think Alex Jones can do 5 million. It's not going to be pretty for the company, but I think that he can get away with that. He's got some money rolling in for his new book sale. And I guess there was an independent documentary that was done that he's got a bunch of DVDs that he's selling on the site too. He didn't have any hand in making it. It was just some gal named Alex Lee Moyer who did an incel documentary called TFW No GF or something like that it's just a documentary about incel culture. And so she came in and did a documentary. She just basically hung out at the InfoWars studio getting candid video and pictures for 2 years. And it's a documentary called Alex's War. So he didn't have a hand in making it. He just kind of let her hang out and do her thing. And so it's out there now too. Oh yeah, Luke.
IRS training video.
Yes, Luke. Oh God, yes. Oh, that's a gift that keeps on giving.
I thought it was a satire at first, but this is Clown World.
You would be forgiven for thinking that. No, I think I said it in the shit poster chat that these types of people, it looks like this is the first taste of authority that they've had since they were hall monitors in high school. And they look the part. These are like weaselly little dweebs that are being trained to be IRS field agents or something. And you could tell by this video, they're like happy, they're giddy, They're like not taking it as seriously as they should. They're training with their little plastic guns. To them, this is all a game. And to me, these are the sorts of people that are true believers in the authority of the state. And what I mean by that is they're being trained as if knocking on the door, flashing a badge, and pulling a gun and saying IRS freeze, hands up, or whatever is going to get compliance. And you've seen the videos where they come in and these fat, disgusting blob people have their little toy guns up and they're like IRS, and the person on the other side of the door is like, hands up, turns around, hands behind the head, gets on their knees, and it's just like it's instant compliance. Now, that's not to say that the training that they receive further on down the line isn't going to be more realistic and more in depth of people that are like actually trying to commit tax evasion or something. But to me, there's three possibilities that are coming out of what we've seen so far. Possibility number one is that we are about to enter the tar and feather phase of 1776.2 on the easy difficulty setting. Like the bar is just all the way slid down to the bottom. Like this is going to be easy mode, right? Possibility number two is that all of this is a PR psyop to lull us, guys like us, into a sense of complacency and false security. The scariest possibility to me is possibility number three, and that is that they are giving these people half-assed training. These true believers in the authority of government, they're giving them half-assed training, and they're going to send them out there with the expectation that some of these people are going to die, and they are going to use that as a pretense to crack down as hard as they want.
Yeah, and that's it's very fascist of them to have. I mean, they might as well just throw some brown armbands on the IRS uniform at that point. Daniel Shaver shootings by these new IRS. Yeah, and I thought this is a great opportunity for people to pull a Ron Swanson and take these jobs and just do them strategically incompetent.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have so many new people flooding in there. If you took these jobs and you did them very poorly, I wonder how long it'd take them to figure it out that you're a complete fuck up and fire you.
Yeah, judging by the way that some of these people look, some of these people might just legitimately be incompetent. So it would probably take them a very long time to figure out that you're being incompetent on purpose.
Yeah. I mean, they got to pay well. I mean, I'm thinking I might start watching for him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, darn, another tax evader slipped through my net. I'll get him next time, boss. I promise.
He had no receipts. I don't know what happened. None at all.
They flew out the window.
Yeah. Daniel Shaver. Who's Daniel Shaver? What did I miss a shooting? Which one was he?
A few years ago, he was the guy in the hallway that was on his knees and he was wearing basketball shorts.
Shit! Yeah,
playing a game of Simon Says
that one
with
was
a cop.
Sickening. Luke says, I unironically want one of the jobs because access to MP7 and Ron Swanson. Yeah, there you go. I think it's a good tactic.
Yeah. If you're looking for a job, that would be one to keep an eye out for, I think.
Yeah, you could be incompetent for a while and make plenty of money doing it. Federal job, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're calling for.
Yep.
But yeah, the false flag attack on the nuke facility. I haven't heard much about that one. Have you, Hobbs?
I've heard that the Ukrainians shelled a nuclear facility, and the Ukrainians said the Russians shelled a nuclear facility. And there was some shit a while back about how the Russians were going to start a meltdown at the Chernobyl place again. And it turned out it was the Ukrainians were setting off smoke bombs to make it look like, right? And it's all stupid. I feel sorry for the people over there, but not enough to give it more thought.
I feel sorry for them. They should probably want to wrap this shit up in the next couple months because everybody knows how winter combat in Ukraine and Russia turns out.
Not good.
No.
Good.
Yeah. Weaponize it. Yeah, the term General Winter is used in that theater because he takes out everybody.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm curious what that combat is like at this point. If they devolved to trench warfare, do you know? Or are they just basically playing hide and go seek with their artillery teams at this point?
I haven't spoken to Alex in a while, and I should probably ask him about that. I do know that there was a very extensive trench system in the Donbass region and the Donetsk region as far back as 2014, and it was like a World War One style no man's land where like you could look out across the field and 100 yards away there'd be enemy militia or something, and you just like trade pot shots with each other, and sometimes somebody would get hit. More often than not, it's something to keep the other guy's head down. It was kind of half-assed, but yeah, there's a trench system out there in eastern Ukraine. Whether or not it's still intact or it's been flattened by artillery, that's anyone's guess. But yeah,
It seems like with the extensive the way you bust up trench warfare is through mechanized, but it seems like nobody can bust out any mechanized or they're instantly flattened at this point. So I should look into that. It seems like there were YouTube videos showing up fairly regular during the beginning of the war of the combat going on, but it's like a blackout now.
Yeah, it's like a deadly game of rock, paper, scissors. It's like trenches and bunkers beat artillery, mechanized beats trenches, and air support and artillery beats mechanized.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of at a stalemate right now.
From the you see press releases come from the Ukraine and Russia saying our artillery hit this, our artillery hit that. It sounds like it is just trench warfare and artillery peekaboo, which has to be does Ben want? Yeah. The Japanese style mechs.
Yeah, I want the BattleTech style mechs, the big, slow
Gundams out there.
Yes,
Gundam might just work out there. Who knows? The Russian Gundam, that thing sounds terrifying.
Got a big fucking hammer and sickle, one in each hand. It just
looks like it was built by Warhammer orcs or something at that point. Painted bright red. Bright red because it goes faster.
That's right.
That's got to be terrible for any soldiers involved in that. Just hiding in a trench, waiting for artillery to fly around.
Yep.
War sucks for everybody, but trench warfare seems to be one of those things that is especially terrible, especially with winter coming up.
Yeah, and like you said, they can't bust out the mechanized in order to break through because then the air support is going to take out their mechanized, and it's terrible. We're at that perfect crux right now where it's just going to be a war of attrition. Who's going to run out of money or materiel first? And right now, I believe the contributions from the United States have overlapped Russia's entire yearly defense budget. We've given Ukraine more money and more guns than Russia allocates for an entire year of their defense budget.
Well, it may be bullshit propaganda or not, but there was some stories of Russian soldiers shooting themselves in the legs to get out of combat and get disability. It's so hard to figure out anymore what's just war propaganda and what's not. It really makes you wonder about all the stuff you saw come out of World War II.
Well, we had a guy on my before my second deployment who shot himself in the foot to get out of going on the deployment. So it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, he went to the gun store right off post and went on the indoor range and rented a pistol, just shot himself right in the foot, claimed it was an accident, and they did a little bit of investigating, watched the video cameras, and they're like, yeah,
what a fucking ding dong.
Yeah, it was stupid because my second deployment was one of my most fun. My first one was awesome. The second one was a little worse. The third one is like, what the fuck am I even doing here?
So what are they? Is that a court martial and bounced out or what?
He got malingering, and I don't know if he got a court martial or not. I'm sure he got something, but he didn't go on that. It was a 15-month deployment. It was a surge deployment, so he missed out on being a long timer. but I believe that he did get drummed out under a general discharge, if I remember correctly.
Just a general.
Yeah, yeah, they were. This was the 15-month surge deployment where they were hurting for everybody, and they didn't want to be too hard on anybody. But yeah, if you're willing to put a fucking 9mm through your foot in order to get out of the deployment, then you're not the
You don't
kind of
want him
guy.
there. Yeah, you don't
yeah,
want that dude there.
no.
Oh, I forgot. You talked about who would go broke first. Speaking of going broke from the war, Germany appears they might be the first one to go broke. Have you seen about German energy prices?
No, but they can't be good.
No, the drought. They have a lot of hydropower, a lot of wind. It has been a very dry and unwindy summer, and Russia is, for some reason, not willing to sell them gas at a regular price.
Imagine my shock.
And their energy prices are 5 to 10 times what it is here in America. And I saw an article talking about that, and I decided to do some math, found how much kilowatt hours it would take to heat up your average shower. And your German is looking at $3 for a 10-minute shower at this point.
Wait, say that again?
$3 to take a 10-minute shower. Their energy is so expensive. That's how much it would cost to heat that water up.
Jeez.
They're shitting their pants over there. I mean, people are not going to be able to afford to heat their homes this winter. They've taken into the progressive push for everything electric. You know,
Yep.
all their houses have electric everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Rutrow.
Yeah. So here's an interesting little conspiracy theory that I'd been aware of it for a long time, and then I forgot about it. And it's actually got brought up again the last couple of days. So what do the current problems with German energy, as well as the European migrant crisis from a couple of years ago, and the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant disaster from 2012, how are these all connected, do you think?
I have no idea. The Fukushima is throwing me.
Okay, so in 2012 there was an election in Germany in which the chancellor that would be elected would basically set the course for Germany's energy future. You had one candidate who was all in on nuclear power. You have another candidate who's all in on green renewable energies. So, magically, as if by chance, the only American-built nuclear power plant in Japan, which was built below sea level on a fault line, suffers a catastrophic meltdown due to that fault line shifting, which caused an earthquake, which caused a tsunami, which flooded the reactors, which caused a spontaneous chain reaction, which suddenly made everybody scared of nuclear power. And Chancellor Angela Merkel and her green agenda was then elected to the chancellorship of Germany, which sealed Germany's fate and also opened the floodgates to the migrants, because that was another of her big pushes too. So if Fukushima hadn't melted down, the pro-nuclear candidate in Germany likely would have been elected, which would have built several nuclear power plants and upkept the ones that they already had rather than decommissioning them. The migrant thing is still up in the air because Germany is very self-flagellating when it comes to, accusations of any kind of ism or phobia. But the energy thing would likely not be an issue right now if the Japanese Fukushima Daiichi reactor had not been built below sea level on a fault line.
Yeah, this is like the problem in the Southwest with the hydroelectric dams and the drought, but it's a whole country. The Rhine the Rhine has dried up so much that they can't float boats down it anymore. So the energy has gotten so expensive that German industry is panicking and looking to move anywhere. I mean, Germany's going to become a shithole here if they don't do something. And that really disappoints me. I'm like 80% German. I lived there as a kid, and it was amazing. And at some point I would have liked to gone back, but at this point it's like California. I don't ever plan to go there. It's just a progressive shithole at this point, from what I can tell.
Yeah, Germany. Unfortunately, their very self-flagellating attitude towards themselves, and their green agenda and everything that they've got going on over there, they're basically going to turn their country into a ghost town, like
Mhm.
like these Appalachian coal towns that dried up when the coal mines went away. It's you're talking about an entire nation.
Well, thankfully, all the good Germans that left have rebuilt the better things about Germany here, like the beer, big-breasted women, things like that. We got some comments over here. Plains prepper, no, bad. We can't do that. We can't show that. uh, Luke White said, "I'm willing to put a 22 through my foot to build up an immunity to the bigger bullets." I see you are a man of culture. I
Science.
followed
That's
that. I followed that thread on 4chan also. That was amazing.
yeah.
Are
That
you aware
is.
of that?
I've seen that particular comment before, but
A
but
guy
yeah,
started with BBs, worked his way up to pellets, building immunity to bullets, and finally decided to shoot himself with a 22, and it went as expected.
yeah.
The reverse 1,000-year Reich. I think all the good Germans, all the good genetics in Germany were killed in the war or moved to America. So whatever, Germany.
Buenos Aires.
Good point. I would go visit what is that area in Argentina? There's an actual German town down there. I would go visit that before Germany.
Yeah.
Me this summer, haha, air conditioner system goes burr. Yeah, fuck you, England. For years and years, they've made fun of fat Americans sitting in their air conditioning.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for them? Not too great. And they don't even have the capability to get air conditioners in England.
Got a license for that coolie box there?
Yeah. I forget how many people died. I think there were up to 1,000 people died in a heat wave, which must be terrible. I don't know. I guess you're just an elderly person sitting in your second floor apartment sweating to death. It's like, holy cow. German engineering could help us to get to the 5th generation nuclear reactors. And I don't even know what that means. What a shame. Is German engineering even that prized anymore? I don't.
About as prized as a label that says "Made in America."
Oof, yeah.
Used to mean something.
Who is the quality? America's got to be about the one for quality at this point. Who is the one that says quality? Made in where?
Certain industries have their appeal. Taiwan makes excellent
Israel
chips.
Israel has anything made in Israel, it seems, is quality. I've noticed as far as like electronics, high-end microwave systems, things like that.
Yep. The Swiss still make excellent things. Anything Swiss, basically.
I think made in America is still up there at this point.
You're going to pay for it, though.
You're going to pay, yeah. Made in India, that's where you well, you got license for that always chest. Yeah, I'm sure they have. I wouldn't be surprised at all if England has a air conditioner. Japan,
something.
I guess made in Japan's right up there, which is also going away along with Germany.
Yeah, Japan's population is aging out. That's the problem. They're not making babies.
Well, that's what happens when you're fucking racist as hell and you don't let anybody into your country. I mean, people can talk shit about the amount of migrants we have in America, but let's see what Japan says in 150 years. Swiss guns.
Maybe. Yeah, everybody over here saying Switzerland, Japan. Somebody says Natalia Fadiev is made in Israel, and she's pretty good quality. I don't know who that is. I don't want to look it up just in case the old lady goes through my browser history. Who is this?
Somebody on the internet told me.
Yep.
Yeah, Japan has been good for a lot of things. It seems like and Taiwan used to be made fun of, but they're kind of the leader for a lot of electronics anymore too.
Yep.
China.
Not for long.
Yeah,
It's China. China right now is at the point where quantity becomes quality. Why have one really good thing when you could have 50 really bad things for the same price and just throw them out?
that's got to be about one of the only major militaries in the world that's never been tested in anything in the modern era.
Yeah.
I mean, Europe and America got to fuck around in the sandbox and figure out how their shit works, but China, they've never done anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a wild card. Who knows? China's stuff could suck, and all their troops could be complete idiots.
Well, they've got the great value brand knockoffs of our stuff that they get through industrial espionage. Playing a game of telephone.
Right.
So they got stuff that looks like our stuff, but it's not as good. And
Yeah, they just brought it. They just launched a new carrier I saw, and it looks like a Sam's Choice Nimitz or whatever.
yeah, the Russians and the Chinese, they still have to have the bow ramp
Yep.
for their planes, because their planes don't have the initial thrust to get off of a flat decked carrier like ours do. Like ours have done since the Second World War.
Well, we got the fucking magnetic launch systems. I mean, that's top of the line right there.
Mhm.
And China just can't figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
They tried their most recent carrier. They tried a couple times to put it into it, and they just gave up and said, fuck it, and put a ski ramp. That's what they call them.
Yeah.
They put a ski ramp on the front of it to shoot them off there.
Right. And we used to have steam catapults, and those actually work pretty well too. And that's like Victorian era technology.
Yeah. I think the only reason they went with the ski ramp instead of the steam is because they didn't want to get laughed at. I guess a ski ramp has more prestige than using old steam.
You know what? If it's stupid but it works, it ain't stupid. And the ski ramp it's stupid.
China in the war versus Vietnam. Am I forgetting something? Or are you saying, or is Lewis saying that Vietnamese were supplied with China? Well, I guess there were Chi-Coms in there.
Yeah.
I don't know that you would call that Chinese being battle tested. Are we going to call the Korean War modern? Because
that was just human wave attacks with World War II weaponry. Korean War was the last major conflict that they were in. They had a clandestine-ish involvement in the Vietnam conflict. They're probably going to realize why nobody messes with Afghanistan.
Oh, hold on. You there, Hobbs? Something you muted there for a second. What'd you say? Why nobody messes with Afghanistan? What'd you say?
I said that. Oh shoot! I hear myself.
Uh-oh.
Hear me now?
Hold on. Can hear you now.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. So I said that the Chinese are probably going to figure out here in the next couple of years why nobody's had.
Oh, you think it's their turn?
Yeah.
I'd love to see China go into Afghanistan.
Well, they're already in Afghanistan, but they're playing it diplomatically.
I'd love to see them get in a conflict in Afghanistan.
Yeah, that would be fun. And with the rapid pace that they're expanding into Africa right now, I think that they're going to learn.
China versus Africa, another great one I'd love to see.
That'll be a mess because Africa is huge.
Africa don't fuck around. I mean, we found that out in Somalia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need the biggest military-industrial complex in the world to do what we do. You need a lot of Liz Cheneys to do what we did, which is piss a lot of money down the toilet. That's what we did.
I mean, we spend so much money on the military. It just, and I saw the latest budget. They upped the military spending too.
Yeah, we spend more than the next 7 or 8 countries combined. And at some point you get to the point of diminishing returns.
I mean, the most invaluable thing for the military though is conflict. I mean, think about how much our military advanced fucking around the sandbox all those years, all the things they found out that didn't work.
Yeah.
So I mean, America's easily got the best fighting force in the world at this point because of all the combat tested that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Russia's kind of learning some lessons in Ukraine, so they're gonna be a surprise on their effectiveness, I think, going forward too. That's why I say China is so untested. They've got to I think they've probably got a shithole military at this point.
Yeah, but they've got the numbers. Yeah, Luke up here, he said the Chinese did a fantastic ballistic study to get to their 5.8 millimeter cartridge. If you can believe it, it's definite. They're definitely making some fantastic claims of that 5.8 cartridge. I know that they've said that it shoots further, flatter, and hits harder than any comparable rifle cartridge out there, and they even compared it to the 7.62 by 54R in the light machine gun roll, because they have a 5.8. It's a 5.8 by 42 cartridge. It's an indigenous cartridge, assault rifle cartridge. They've made like 5 or 6 different rifles for it now. They keep fiddle fucking around with the gun. And they've got several different loadings of this cartridge, and I think they finally settled on one. But for a while there, they had a dedicated light machine gun cartridge that they said outperformed the 7.62 by 54R, and I'm just like, no, I'm calling bullshit on that. So they're making some pretty fantastic claims as far as that cartridge goes. I have no doubt in my mind that it is a modern, comparably performing cartridge to things like 5.56, 5.45, maybe even verging closer to 6.8 SPC as far as performance goes. But as far as like taking on a full bore battle cartridge around like 54R or 308 or something, it stresses credulity on my part.
Yeah, and China, another thing about China, their economy is kind of a black hole too. Seems like we don't really know how bad it might be, especially in their real estate. Because I guess in China, there isn't a property tax. So the only way local governments could raise money is by having new developments. So they just had all these fake new developments going up, propping up their local economies. Yeah. And I saw a video somebody released a couple weeks ago, just blowing up 8 30-story skyscrapers just because no use for them.
Yeah, there's a good video that I would recommend everybody go watch as soon as we're done here. It's on go to Rumble or YouTube, and you can find Bill Whittle's channel. Like Whittle.
Oh, yeah, I know the video you're talking about.
The Chinese ghost city economy. It's
how they roll that money. They keep rolling that fake money forward and forward and forward, and it's gonna. I don't know how it hasn't blown up yet. They've got to be pulling some shenanigans, but everything I've read, it seems like that economy should have exploded a while ago.
Yeah. It's being propped up on toothpick stilts right now. They are doing some very creative accounting and book cooking in order to keep kicking this can down the road, and it is going to collapse once people start wising up to their entire savings being wiped out by these shenanigans. But part of what is the reason that they're allowed to get away with it, and this is something that I brought up when I was running for Congress when I got interviewed on the radio here, is that part of the reason that China can do what they're doing economically is because all of the international financing systems like the IMF and the WEF and the WMF, all of these international monetary systems still classify China as a developing economy, rather than a developed economy. So that allows them to adjust inflation and inflate and deflate their currency at will without incurring any type of international penalties. And so, in a lot of ways, they're able to manipulate their own currency to kind of unfairly compete on the international market as far as trade tariffs and everything goes, while taking it out of the hide of their people. And because they have this sort of like communist, fascist, capitalist hybrid economic system
Yeah, it's
over
so
there,
fucking weird.
it's weird. And because the Chinese people have like 3,000 years of absolute conformity to authority just baked into their culture, they've been able to get away with it for now. However, once media breaks through and you can never stop the signal, and enough of the Chinese people start realizing that they're getting fleeced on an industrial scale, something's got to give.
Yep. And I don't know. It just keeps going and going. I mean, they've been saying it since like what 2018 that it's all smoke and mirrors. It's going to blow up any day now, but somehow they keep it going.
Well, our economy is all smoke and mirrors, so we don't really have room to talk over here. But having the world's reserve currency kind of helps
A little bit. Yeah. If you've looked at dollar, the dollar is up against everything. Dollar against the Chinese yuan, dollar against the euro. Dollar against the euro is just nuts. I haven't seen it like that in probably 10 years.
I've never seen the dollar outpace the euro that I can remember. It's always been like $1.25, $1.50 per euro. And now we're sitting at like 95 cents
Right.
per euro. It's the euro actually should have collapsed after Brexit pulled out, but they've been keeping that on life support for a while.
That's one I forgot about. Dollar versus pound. And I check all these once in a while. Dollar versus pound. That dollar's doing good against the pound too. I mean, dollars
$1.30 ish.
$1 gets you 0.85 pounds.
Yeah, it's about $1.15.
Yeah, about $1. Yeah.
$1.15. Yeah, sounds about like it typically is. I mean, I've seen it as high as $1.50, but yeah, it's I think the only currency right now that's comparably strong is the Russian ruble, and that once the energy thing starts to level out, that's gonna bubble burst too.
Yeah, back when the Ukraine shit kicked off, the ruble was like up to 150. You get 150 rubles for $1, and now it's down to 59 rubles for $1, which is like the lowest, almost the lowest it's ever been on this graph.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ruble bounced back strong. The sanctions kind of put a dent in it, and then it bounced back, and they bounced back hard. Blacks, syphilis, just learn how to protect our soldiers, syphilis free.
Yeah, our government knows no limits when it comes to doing shit like that.
Yep.
China's what happens when Republicans are consistently in office. Democrats couldn't even make that much money. Yeah. Yeah, they would have fucked it up a while ago. We're up on an hour. Good show. Managed to find more stuff to talk about, even though it's all just Trump. I think next week's going to be all Trump too. I mean, it's going to be all about this redacted shit.
Yep.
So
that comes out on Thursday, so that should be fresh.
Does?
Yeah, they have 1 week. They have 1 week to come out with it, so that should give us something fresh to talk about next Thursday.
Have some hot off the presses news next Thursday. So pop in. We'll see what it's about. Thanks for listening. Sorry we moved it to Friday instead of Thursday. I was at a cigar and whiskey night. I'll take the blame. I lost track of the time. Hobbs was like, "Where the fuck are you?" I'm like, "At cigar and whiskey night." We mentioned it earlier on the show. The Boog Girl shirt, other shirts. If you probably already checked them out. If you haven't, roads2liberty.com. Check out what we got, and we will see you next.